Down.
Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome to Soul Revival from Modern Muse.
Yes, welcome. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. We're delighted that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. So my name is Zulay now. I am one of the co-founders of Modern Muse. We are a multimedia platform deeply devoted to the evolution and the growth of diverse women everywhere. We put this together around our 4 brand pillars: soul, science, sex, and society. And we did this because we realized that all of those spaces are equally important to just the way that we live our lives, how we show up for ourselves, the conversations that we're having with ourselves,
self-discovery.
Mm-hmm. So we put this program together for you guys. Julie's going to tell you guys a little bit more. We have 2 incredibly insightful hours of programming for you guys, all in the area of healing. And Julie can talk to us more about that.
Yeah, so Soul Revival is, of course, based around soul. But the reason why the timing is happening now, it's kind of the end of Women's History Month.
Yes.
We are celebrating that. Spring is here. It's a new season. And we are also reflecting so strongly and powerfully over how much resiliency it has taken to get us through the past year. And with that said, anyone who lost a loved one during COVID or who is suffering from a mental illness or is in pain, our hearts go out to you so much. This program was created to not only give us insight into healing, but to hear beautiful stories from incredible special guests on their experience, because we truly believe that we learn the most by just listening to other people sharing their hearts, the raw, the real, the truth behind what it takes for growth.
And in addition to that, we want to kind of take this opportunity, because we're going to be asking everybody that it will be joining us on the program to get really vulnerable. So the point of Modern Muse is to have really uncomfortable conversations, ones that we are typically taught to look at as taboo. Yeah. Today, our collective focus, and we hope that you'll join us in this, is that we will reflect and that we can be honest with ourselves about where we are, where we're hurting, and how we can share that with people in order to heal. So I think it's only right that we do what we're asking people to do and share a little bit. So Jules, before we get into the program, is there something?
About through the last year of resiliency and growth?
Yeah. What is your story of resiliency?
That's I didn't know this is coming, and I'm kind of excited about it.
Surprised
you. I think the hardest part for myself the last year was really missing people. I've heard that a lot. People say that as well. But for me, I'm a mama. I'm a single mama. I have a great co-parent. But it was either all on with my kids in homeschool or it was alone. So I think shifting from being used to filling my time with friends and social time and work, it was an opportunity to dive in to really explore who I am. But at the same time, that was hard. How about you?
Love that you said that. I had a different experience. So as you know, some of you may know, some of you may not. I'm an actor. I also work in the entertainment industry. So I'm used to kind of the uncertainty of life.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really what hit me so hard. Not obviously, no one was working. So, those thoughts do come across. But this year, and we'll talk more about it later as well. But during COVID, I found myself in a really dark hole. I had a miscarriage that was deeply painful, that I am being vulnerable about and willing to talk about, because I realized that when we share these stories and when we're honest about where we are, there's a lot of camaraderie that comes with that. There's storytelling, and people can empathize with you and get honest and real and raw about certain things that usually people keep to themselves.
Yeah.
So we have a great speaker today who's going to walk us through some really, give us some really good pointers on what we can do now in the present to create freedom for ourselves and create lasting change and create a lifestyle that propels us to continue to expand and grow, because ultimately we all know that everything that's happening around us, whether it be good or bad, in our eyes is all really here to serve us.
I want to, because you shared that you had a miscarriage. Yeah. You also had a new beginning.
Yes. Right? I am 7 months pregnant, guys. Look at this. Can we see?
which you're also celebrating. I
am celebrating almost 8 months soon. Oh my God. So I'm a mom to be, an entrepreneur, an actor, and a woman that loves other women. And if there are men in this broadcast, we love you too, and we want you to stay, because the information here is for all of us.
Yes, and this is a free event, of course, but with an optional donation. We are supporting NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness in the Los Angeles Center. But it's a beautiful organization, so optional donation if you would like to. The link on Modern Muse will stay live for a while.
And if you guys already donated, now you know where it's going, even though it's on the website. A lot of us just kind of scroll through. That's where your donations are going, and it's also going to support the event. We're so grateful to have you all here, that you tuned in. Let's get to it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you through the program.
Thank you so much, Modern Muse, for inviting me on. I'm Susie Alof Schwartz, the CEO and founder of the Unplug Meditation app. Meditation can be like a palate cleanse for the mind, and you are about to hear some incredible speakers. So the goal is for you to be fully present when you do, so you can retain all of that information. And there is no better way than to actually switch off your brain like a light switch. The easiest way to do that is to count and breathe. Because what happens is, when our mind is wandering, when our mind is constantly swirling, we are not present. We are thinking about the future. So we're going to just bring it back, because you can't count, breathe, and think at the same time. So join me in this super short meditation by closing your eyes. And on the next inhale, I'd like you to just count to the count of 5 through the nose. And hold your breath for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. An audible exhale out for 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. And hold for 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. In through the nose for 5. Audible exhale out for 5. Last time, in through the nose for 5. Hold for 5. Audible exhale out for 5. And hold for 5. And I'd like you to place your hands on your chest, and just for a second, see if you can feel your heart beating. And let's set the intention to be fully present for our next speaker. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and enjoy your Soul Revival Wellness Week.
Thank you so much, Susie. That was amazing. That's exactly what I needed to.
Me too.
Get in the mood.
Get in this mood. Here we are.
And just relax a little bit. We're so grateful to have you again. Thank you so much for joining us. Julie, who do we have next?
Up next is our keynote speaker, Dr. Erin Haskell. She is an author, the founder of Society. She is a female entrepreneur. She was named by Forbes as one of the 11 most aspirational women to watch on Instagram. She is a dear friend and an inspiration, an incredible person, and I can't wait for you to listen to her speak to us.
And we're also being joined today by one of our new friends and special friends, Jasmine Campbell. She is an entertainment veteran, a writer, producer, also a screenwriter, and an advocate for social justice, specifically in the LGBTQIA community. And also was a part of the education community for the Biden-Harris campaign. So we're very grateful and lucky to have you, Jasmine. So what we're going to do is we're going to be listening to Dr. Erin, our keynote speaker. We're going to learn. We're going to just get all the resources. And then we're going to have a little Q&A between Jasmine, myself, and Julie afterwards. So let's get to it, Dr. Erin. Thank you so much for being here. And let's get started.
Amazing. I'm so incredibly honored to be here with all of you guys here and everybody watching. I know that we're going through some really intense times right now on the planet. And my greatest intention right now is to have us get grounded in truth, have us really step back into purpose, which we're going to discover what that is today. Okay. So I invite each and every one of us here and everyone watching to just take a deep breath in through the nose. Getting in that presence, getting in that power, allowing the breath to really energize every cell of our body. You can exhale out when it works for you, through the mouth. Take another deep, deep breath into the nose. Take as much air as you possibly can take in. Getting the spine erect so that you can actually be tapped into 2 feet on the ground to get really grounded on Mother Earth into the finite of the finite, and allowing your spine to be erect so that you can also bring the energy out into the infinite, into the universe, your higher self, the truth of who you are. And in this presence, I recognize there's one power, one divine oneness, one unity, which is love, which is the presence that has created all of life. And it outpictures in creating heaven and hell. We're in this beautiful relative experience. And I recognize for as many hard times that we've gone through right now, there's just as many beautiful things, including the baby in Zulay's body, to this incredible set that we've built here, everyone, all this beautiful, all the people involved, everyone here. I just say yes. I say yes to all the new creations, all the new creations. And in this, we release the strife. We release the control of how to figure it out. We simply know the truth in this divine breath, releasing out as together we say, and so it is.
Yes.
And so I'm so honored to be here. The intention I wanted to bring here is to help everyone get grounded in their purpose. Because I know for me, in the middle of, these difficult times, there was days when I was like, whoa, this is intense. And I know that whether you are, going through financial issues through this, or whether you've had relationship kind of ups and downs, or whether you've had some health things, or whether you're just in fear of the future, where you've gone through equality issues and political things and financial things and all those things, life doing life. What I know for sure is the one thing that kind of saved me through the entire thing is getting back to service and getting back to purpose and getting back to our missions and our messages. And so today, my intention is to help you get clear of how to get clear of your purpose, whether it be just to be present for the day or building a family or building a soul business or whatever that is. Today, we're going to teach the purpose formula so that you can powerfully walk away today with some actionable tools to implement through your daily spiritual practice, through doing your inner work, and through realizing where you really want to put your energy into this next year. Okay, so let's just take one more deep breath into the nose and exhale out. Okay. So purpose formula goes like this. There's 3 parts to the purpose formula. And is this the truth? Well, it is something I've used on thousands of people around the globe and even children. So it's 3 things. The first thing is triumph. And triumph comes out of your hardest things you've ever gone through, your trauma, whether it be in this lifetime, or if you believe in last lifetimes, or if you just say scientifically your epigenetics on your DNA. But the triumph actually comes from your actual lineage, your DNA. So we're here marrying the DNA with your passion, your talents, your genius of this life, right? So the purpose statement is actually these 2 things which is your DNA, which is your triumph. Everything you've ever gone through, the hardest things you've ever gone through, become your triumph. So the hardest things we ever go through are actually the greatest blessings of our life. And the second thing is passion. So my question for you with this is, we're going to dive into what it means, what you're passionate about, okay? And then there's a third thing. And the third thing is really your skill set or your talent, what you're really good at, right? Some people have a passion, they love to speak. Others want to just, like coordinate people. Other people love to do detail stuff. And we're going to get into that, okay? So if you're watching this, you may want to take notes, or we're going to walk you through this 3-step process right now, okay? So my question for you is to ask yourself, and if you want to get vulnerable, what is the hardest thing you've ever gone through? And I don't know if you want me to be a little interactive, lovely ladies here, if you want me to just keep going through, but we could do a little interactive thing if you want.
Ooh, Jasmine.
You don't have to if you don't want. You can if you want. What's the hardest thing you've ever been through, Jasmine?
Wow. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna get vulnerable. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Geez. Okay. One of the hardest things. My family. Watching my dad go to prison.
Okay. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and so real. And so, Jasmine, do you feel like you've healed that all the way, or do you feel like there's still healing around that? How are you feeling about that?
I feel like there's still healing around that.
Okay, thank you. So we want to understand the triumph. What have been the takeaways? What's been the biggest lesson out of that?
With my adult brain sort of synopsizing it all, I would say the notion that there's life after that trauma and that particular pain. In the moment, it didn't feel that way. Of course, I was a child, but still it didn't feel that way.
Thank you so much. Okay. So this indicates right now that Jasmine, one of her purposes is to actually heal. Because if we haven't had full triumph over the hardest thing, then everybody's purpose is to heal. And I'm imagining, Yasmine, you've healed somewhat because clearly you are a purpose-driven, you have a purpose-driven life. So clearly you've done some healing and some, shifting and healing around that, okay? So I'm going to ask you the next question, Jasmine, which is passion. So if you won $100 million, what would you spend your time doing?
I would spend my time really fixing families and assuring that families are stay together and are resilient. So just especially kids and their parents. Mm-hmm.
Great. Clearly, this is your passion. We know, I can feel it, energetically. And then the third is, what would you say is kind of what's the place in your life where you lose track of time? What are you doing when you lose track of time?
I'm generally writing or advocating, fighting for others in that sense.
Okay, great. So we recognize the triumph that Jasmine is around persevering past anything that's the hardest thing in your life, the perseverance. That's kind of like the triumph that she's learned, the takeaway of that thing. Her passion is helping families stay together. And then thirdly is writing. So Yasmine, I don't really even know what you do exactly, but let's
I don't know that some days.
I'm sure you already do, but it may even bloom even more into a purpose, right, Jasmine? So what do you feel like is your highest of your highest? If money was of no object and you are creating your purpose in this lifetime out of those three things, brainstorming for a moment, what do you think it is for you?
100% unequivocally, it would be literally to heal the family wounds. That's it. It just to provide a space where other families don't have to worry about finances or anything like that, just to let them be and let them share together. That's what it would be for me.
Beautiful, right? So now what do we do, right? I mean, this is so beautiful. And I recognize that we don't try and figure out how, okay? The universe, we call it outlining. One of our jobs and the biggest mistake or things that have people sabotage living their dream life is that they try and figure out how am I going to do this? How am I going to, this is too hard. This is too much. How am I going to, make money doing this? How am I going to, whatever it may be, right? We don't ask that. We stand firm in that vision. And we know the truth. So, Jasmine, I'm just going to hold that truth in my heart and mind. And what I know, you're already doing this work for sure. But my invitation is for you to let go of the way we think control is and allow the universe to bring this purpose at a dynamic that is miraculous, meaning it goes beyond our belief system, our current belief system. Are you open for that, Jasmine?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I keep call you Yasmin just the way your name is spelled, but it's so beautiful. So thank you for walking through that with us. Thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing. I'm sure that was a very difficult experience for you. And I know that you would never have gone through that if you weren't going through that to learn the lessons to help others that are going through similar things. So thank you for living a purpose-driven life for sure. Yes. Yes. Okay, so everyone out there, I just want to invite you to take that into your life and maybe take some time during this time to kind of think about, a lot of us get to recreate our lives out of this. People are moving around the planet. Some people have lost their jobs, which can be a blessing in disguise because we have to recreate from so much new ways of maybe even having financial things that we're going through, transitioning in our culture, having new systems, new ways of life. And so I invite each and every one to say that it's just as easy to create a whole new, life based on purpose than it is off of one that was off of the program of what our culture said. So I know that all of this is a blessing in disguise. It's tested us in so many ways. And I recognize that the soul revival really is just revealing the truth. And so I do invite each and every one to know that if you don't know your purpose, if you don't really know what that is, there's only one purpose. If you're not clear what your purpose is, it is to discover your purpose, which means healing your trauma and really birthing the truth. Okay. So we have a little bit more time. I'm going to go through any questions on that, Julia or Zulay, before I'm going to go to another formula for everyone to implement into their life.
Questions?
I'm sitting here taking notes. First of all, Jasmine, I want to thank you so much for being so open and vulnerable and sharing that part, a very deep part of your personal life with us. And although I don't share that very exact experience, I can empathize with you with the family breakup because it's something that still needs some healing in me today. So you brought me to a very vulnerable point in my life. I love, Dr. Erin, that you said soul revival is about revealing truth, right? About everything in our life that we inevitably push back and don't address, and we hide with a smile. And this just really opened up a whole other inner dialogue for me as it pertains to really what the mission with Modern Muze is. And this is a big part of our why. And it's been there, but you articulated it in such a beautiful way. Another thing that I want to add and just share, because we're being vulnerable.
Yeah.
I recently, COVID has been hard for me in that the best thing happened to me at the beginning of last year is I became pregnant. I planned it, and then I lost my baby. And in the middle of so much adversity, in the middle of so much trauma and instability that we were all feeling at the macro level of society, to add that to the mix was a lot for me. So there is a lot of healing around that I feel like I need to do. So this conversation is just opening. I mean, as you can see, it's kind of really opening me up to acknowledging that there's things. I'm 7 months pregnant right now, almost 8, and life is going. But I think that there's, like you said, Dr. Erin, the purpose is to our purpose is to continuously heal from our trauma and move forward and use that to catapult us into service to others, which is what Modern Muze is all about. So thank you bringing that full circle for me. I appreciate that
for you and your family, and for you to birth in a high consciousness child. So I could not be happier. I'm so thrilled for you guys.
Thank you. I'm the happiest girl around. Jules, what are you adding?
I think what I want to add is, well, I can't wait for you to go. I want to learn more from you. But I guess it's just a testament, and I wasn't even really planning on talking about this, but I was a member of Dr. Erin certified me in coaching, but that's because I started doing trauma healing with her. And I guess what I have to say is sometimes it starts with a big one. Mine was the loss of my boyfriend to gun violence, something that I didn't even think I would want to touch or knew how to touch. And then I learned this process and I learned how to heal the trauma. And it's amazing how other things just start to come to the surface. And once you practice this and have it down, you really do realize that every trauma, every experience is there to propel you further and just for more self-discovery and more self-growth. So I just listening to Jasmine and to you, it's incredible. It's empowering healing.
Yeah.
It's by design. Everything is by design, right?
For sure. Absolutely. And I think that what we find is, like, I don't know if you guys experience this, but I remember years back when I began to do meditation and awakening and all this stuff, and I'd have these blissed out states. I'd be so blissed out. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so enlightened, and then life would happen and I'd get triggered. And I was like, wait, but what happened to that girl that was so cool and had no issue with living? And so
where did it go?
Right? And so what I find is that the issue is this, not the issue, but the opportunity in spiritual work is to also deal with the body. We're dealing with the subconscious mind. We're dealing with the cellular level of the DNA. And when we go into meditation, we oftentimes will go to that ethereal realm because we're kind of like almost having an out-of-body experience. But the goal is to have that enlightenment state in the body, no matter what happens in the body. So we actually want to go in and do the trauma work, because the trauma work is kind of like, it keeps charge. It's actually in epigenetics. They found that the charge of basically from all trauma of all lifetimes lives in us. So it doesn't matter if you believe in past lives or not. It's a scientific fact. And the point is that this charge is on our track, and it's actually what's turning on or off our genetic code also, because what happens as we have trauma on our DNA, it strangles the DNA and it makes it hard to read. And as we do our trauma work, we actually take the charge off and the DNA actually expands, and we're actually able to read all of our DNA. So imagine, what's possible when we're not being reactive, when we're not, going to fight or flight, when we're living in the state of where we're able to stay in that blissful state in our body, no matter if something's really difficult happening in the world or not. And that's when we know also the body's able to heal, because we're, staying in that state that where we're able to heal also. So we see miracles in people's finances. We see miracles in their health. We see miracles in their relationships. We see miracles in all of it. So being a person of purpose, having a soul revival is really about knowing yourself and being the highest version of yourself. And that takes work. You know what I mean? So I'm so honored that you guys have an incredible platform where people can be in community, because community is so important, because you and I and Jasmine and Zulay and all you guys, literally we hold each other in consciousness. Okay. We literally create each other metaphysically, our friends, into existence. So yes, the most important thing is for you to surround yourself with incredible human beings that only see you as your potential, that aren't holding you in limitation. And we just create each other. So today, let's just take a deep breath in through the nose again. And I just want to acknowledge right now that the subconscious mind is such a powerful thing. The subconscious mind is the soul, and the subconscious mind is running the show, right? I mean, it's like 97% of everything we're doing is subconsciously based. And the subconscious mind is connected with the subjective mind, which is one and the same as universal law. So I recognize whatever trauma we've gone through, if you believe you're not enough, or something's wrong, or I'm divided, then the universe is going to say, and so it is. And so as we heal those traumas, as we reveal the truth of who we are and release those limited beliefs, the universe just says, yes, you are divine. You are divinely connected as one. And in this, we are set free because we are no longer realizing we are not these bodies. We're not the circumstances that are on this planet. We're none of that. We are great, divine, infinite spiritual beings. And we're here to do great things and create in the masterpiece called life. I mean, look at where I am. Look at this beautiful setting here. We're creators. That's what we are. And so I simply know this. As together we say, and so it is. So I do have one more little, if you guys want me to, or we can just do a little Q&A, wherever you guys want to go.
I want to hear what you want to teach.
Just 3 things to make sense of how we're creating energy into form, okay? There's only 3 ways that we create, and it's through negative, neutral, and positive. Oof. A negative sign, a 0 sign, and a positive sign, okay? And the only way we're doing that is we're creating through an inverted way. So we have a negative way, which is a high state. The moment we create and we decide a positive or negative meaning, we instantaneously have a positive negative experience. And the high state of a negative experience is the emotion through trauma. It's the meaning we put around it, backed by a decision. I'm not enough, something's wrong, I don't want to live, I can't do this, whatever that is. And that imprints upon the subconscious mind. So in order to take that, we need to bring it to the neutrality, which is the 0. We call it the God factor, right? Not some man in the sky, but that essence, that soul within us, that spirit within. So we want to bring it to neutral. And then we want to bring it to the positive, because the neutral brings it back to the I am, the all infinite essence that we are. That's who we are, the I am. But we also bring it to the positive, which means I'm a unique divine individual, and I get to be a unique expression, just like this flower right here and here is the only, it's unique to itself. Not one other flower in this entire universe is like that flower, and not one other person is like all 3 of you, okay? So we bring it back to the positive, which means we decide what we want to create in this life. We decide the expression that we are. We decide what we want to stand for. We decide all that. So our real goal is to take all that negative of anything that's limited, if you will, neutralize it, and then put it into the positive through daily spiritual practice, through doing your trauma work, through declarations, and really deciding what it is that you truly want for your life. So there's a little metaphor, I guess you could say, for your life.
Yes. Dr. Erin, can I ask you for a favor? For when you say trauma work, I know that Julie is familiar with that. I am too, and obviously Jasmine is too. But if there's a listener that's new to this work, can you give a couple of simple pointers? I want to address everyone in the room, whether you've been, in this work for a long time, you're interested, or you're just checking it out. Can you give us a couple of pointers in what direction to go?
Yeah. So there's different types of trauma. Obviously, there's physical trauma. There's emotional trauma. There can be trauma from, stresses from biological stuff. But the trauma we're talking about is emotional trauma. So it's everyone, if you're a human being, you have trauma, meaning that it's a high state of emotion backed by a limited belief or backed by a lie. That's what trauma is. And it stays on the track. It stays in the subconscious, on the mental pictures, on the Akashic records, or on the DNA, whichever you want to say, by a charge, an actual charge, because it is actually being held there by the decision that you made that is creating it into existence as resistance in the body. So as we neutralize that resistance, then we begin to release it. Yeah.
Amazing. Jazz,
go ahead.
We're always on the same page.
No, I wanted to ask Jasmine. I know that you do a lot of work around social justice. How do you incorporate some of these conversations into your work in that space?
You mean in regards to
in regards to the trauma with social inequities that we're dealing with in society right now? How are you, as a leader in that space, creating change, and how are you dealing with the trauma aspect of it with the people that you're working with?
Well, thank you for that. Well, like Dr. Erin here, it enables me to have a language. It gives me this language of empathy, especially since I am, I guess, a trauma survivor, or continue to get through that. But it allows me to build a bridge and to really develop a language of empathy and understanding. So what this work has enabled me to do is, and I guess I'm I'd like to finish answering this question, because I really would love to see what Dr. Erin thinks about this. With epigenetics, you just mentioned that our body holds the stress of trauma as resistance. And I can totally attribute to that. Zulay, I saw you going, yep, like, I guess my body, and especially as a woman, being so innately just in tune with my body, and so much happens, monthly, right? Like, wow. So I'm always like aware of what's happening, whether I want it to happen or not. I'm wondering, Dr. Erin, because this to me helps to understand about my own work with this social justice thing. There's been, and I was not aware of this, even being Afro-Latina, I was not aware of this myself, living in this sort of being now, and this physical sort of incarnation, that anyone who's either a person of color, in particular Blacks and brown people in America, carry with them, 2 to 3 generations of trauma in their DNA. We've heard of that, I'm wondering, with your expertise and how one starts to get through that, because I feel now with this social justice movement, with all this impact, it's wonderful to have this language, because the language validates. It's a validation that everyone can access it. And the way that I can really plug into that is I started writing a social justice horror thriller before lockdown, and I remember overwriting it because I couldn't articulate. I had to write it as a how-to guide, but then unfortunately, after the whole social justice movement last summer, with the passing of George Floyd, rest in peace, I felt like the whole world understood a certain language. And then I had to go back to that script, back to the drawing board. And I didn't have to write it. So I didn't have to over-explain it. The language was already in the ethos. It was there. And I'm wondering what you think about, Dr. Erin, about the healing of all of that, because I think it's all tied into the social justice movement, and also to what Zulay was just asking me. So I don't know. That's a lot of questions. But.
No, I get it. And it's complex regardless, right? So absolutely, whether you believe in past lives or not, we hold the trauma of all generations, not 2 generations, all generations. And it's heavy. It's heavy. That's why you can go to some cultures and they literally, you can feel they're just happier. There's other cultures that are heavier. There's a sadness. And it's an atmosphere of the collective of that community, because we're collective consciousness as well. And we've got DNA memory, and then you and we're all connected as well. So we've got a collective consciousness. We have race consciousness. We have cosmic consciousness. We're one. Scientifically, we're one. It doesn't matter what color we are, whatever. And we absolutely need to acknowledge and have empathy and put things into effect legally to make sure of our oneness and our rights. Having said that, spiritually, it's time to heal. So no matter what legal goes in that makes it correct for equality, no matter what we do, we still need to heal. We need to heal the lineage. And so, yes, that's where, Jasmine, doing your inner trauma work, we actually go into past life regressions. And past life regressions are fascinating because it's really fantasy. It is fantasy. And as Einstein said, our fantasy is the greatest faculty we have. Children know this. They live in fantasy. It's actually incorrect how we make it about the facts are out there. It's not. We create the reality from within, and fantasy is our greatest faculty. So we go into past life regressions through fantasy, because it doesn't matter what the mental pictures are. What matters is the emotions around the mental pictures. And as we go in there and neutralize the most horrific things that have happened in our lineage, in your lineage, Jasmine, the amount of trauma and murders and slavery and heartbreak and, illness, that all of that is you deserve to be freed of that. You deserve true freedom, which is neutralizing all that and taking, because trauma minus emotions equals wisdom. And as you become that wise woman with that great, you are standing on the shoulders of the greatest of the greatest. And you become somebody who is absolutely untouchable, unstoppable, and an icon to be the voice for all of your lineage. To say, hear me effing roar, okay?
Yeah.
That is your birthright. That's your birthright.
Trauma minus emotions equals wisdom. I think that is my biggest takeaway from this conversation. Well, no, there was so much. I just want to touch a little bit on, you mentioned epigenetics, and I was reading a lot of Joe Dispenza before I got pregnant. Now I'm reading a lot of pregnant. Joe Dispenza talks a lot about up-leveling your genetics. So there's a way that we can work within our subconscious to create healing from all of that. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know you know this stuff in and out.
Because we just were teaching about parenting and children in our practitioner this week. And it's so fascinating because I was pulling in some of Joe Dispenza's work as well, because the reality is that we're not our personalities.
No, he's so fascinating too. I'm so happy we're talking about
that. Your baby, Zulay, that comes in, what is that personality? That personality is the sum total of all the choices of emotions and traits that have come through. That baby that's coming through is a pure spirit. And it's actually not that personality. And that we get to, it's really fascinating. And character is based on, habitual, habitual traits that we do. So the point is that baby with the parents, if you and your husband really, I highly recommend that you, and it begins before you get pregnant, of course, but if you can get as intentional as you possibly can right now, doing as much breath work, doing as much as it is to stay in neutrality in your emotions right now for the rest of your pregnancy. It is the most important time that you will ever parent is right now.
Oh, Dr. Erin, staying neutral with my emotions. I'm writing. I'm sorry. I know. We're hosting, and I'm a
learning and growing.
You can't just try and be neutral. You've got to go in and actually neutralize the trauma and neutralize the stuff, so it's authentic. Because you can pretend. We pretend all the time, like, oh, it's all good, it's all whatever. You pretend to not be upset and just suppress it. That's not neutralization.
That's what I just said. That we're so good at collectively is pretending, and I'm going to work on this wholeheartedly. I'm so grateful for this bit of information, and that will help with the genetic code of my baby starting from the time in my womb.
1,000%. Your baby, especially when, as Joe Dispenza gives a talk on it, that when the sperm and egg come together, the first imprinting is where whatever the emotion is right there,
Yeah, it's actually making me emotional, like for you, this little baby.
Yeah.
That's
no pressure there. No pressure as a parent.
She's moving around and she's enjoying this conversation too. She's very active right now.
Well, I don't want to keep you any longer because this time is precious, but I've learned so much. I know all the viewers are going to learn so much. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Jasmine, for joining us and being vulnerable and opening up and sharing your story.
Yes, I have something that I want to position here potentially.
What do you want to position?
If you are a viewer and you're interested in Dr. Erin's work and you want to get connected and you want to continue the conversation, maybe after the event we can create I don't know. I just love this conversation so much. There's so much good synergy here that.
Well, and her organization is Soul
Society. So we definitely want to continue to work with you, Dr. Erin. I know our listeners are. I know I'm blown away, Dr. Erin. You're incredible. I have all these notes. Jasmine, is there anything that you want to
acknowledge Jasmine so much for all the work that you do, Jasmine. Thank you so much for who you are and just everything. And thank you so much, Zulay and Julie. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. I freaking adore you guys so much.
Love you so much. Thank you.
Jasmine, any closing words from you, my love?
Yes. Ready? I don't know if you can see this, but you are loved.
Oh, I love that.
You are loved, guys.
Indeed we are.
Beautiful. All right, everyone.
Okay, let's move on to our next segment. Let's have some fun. We have some fun coming up. Should we? What do we have coming? We have a performance. We're surprising you.
Yeah, all kinds of things. All
Thanks, guys. See you in a bit.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying the show thus far. I have a wonderful, beautiful, talented, sexy guest. No, don't. Life happens, Leli. Don't even worry about it. Life happens. There's dogs. We're here. We're enjoying ourselves. Guys, welcome Leli Hernandez to our Soul Revival. Leli, thank you so much. First of all, you travel so much. You're so busy. You have so much going on. So I'm grateful forever for you to be here with us and sharing your story. And I love your dog. So everybody give Leli a little warm round of applause. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, I'm more than honored. I've always been a big fan of all your movies. So to me, honestly, from the moment I met you, I mean, you're a sweetheart. And honestly, for me, it's like, oh my God. I was like telling my mom, I was like, how crazy is like I grew up, well, you're very young, but I'm saying like
no, you can say
I grew up watching your movies. So I'm honored to feel part of it, me doing my thing and I had to make time for this.
Thank you so much. I remember when we met I've known Leli now. Leli, how long do you think we've known each other?
Well, I moved to LA 7 years ago. So, and I know you were one of the first people I met. I think my first day there. I met you for the first time at a bowling alley. And I had just moved there. Bentley, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I moved there and I remember I saw you at a bowling alley and I was like, I remember I told my best friend from high school, I was like, oh my God, I know that's her. Like in that moment, I didn't know your name, but I knew your face. And I was like,
but you said hi.
I did say hi and we took a picture with you. But then eventually, like we properly met when I was already like working in the industry. And I don't really remember how, like, I don't know.
I remember becoming really aware of you through Bo and through, and I was like, oh my God, yes. And then you became like this YouTube sensation. And now you're like, you're an up and coming singer. I want to hear everything. So I want to go and talk about the resiliency aspect of it, but I want you to tell our guests how you got here.
Yeah, so I think it's been a lot of discipline. I always knew exactly what I wanted. And from the moment I moved to LA, I came from a background of theater and acting and little opportunities that I had locally in Miami, like when I was 6 years old on Sao Gigante. And so I came from very small. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be an entertainer. But I think it was like moving to LA, a lot of people think like, oh, you moved to LA and you're just going to make it and you're just going to know everybody and that's really not how it is. So when I went there, I went with a very open mind, but obviously my parents kept telling me you need to go to school, you need to study something, you need to, get educated. And for me, it was like, I didn't know what to really study because being in the industry, I realized that either you go to Juilliard, right, and you study like theater and, you either do it big or you do little courses here and there. So I was like, I've never really seen someone study like theater or acting at a regular school. So I was like, you know what, let me learn more about the business of it because the craft I had been already practicing my entire life. I had already been learning, so many different types of ways of how to act or how to be on camera or perform on stage. And for me, it's like I wanted to go a little deeper and I've always been good with numbers. And I was like, I'm all about the business too. So in that moment, I couldn't go to school because I was out of state. It was very expensive. So I started working at a production company behind the scenes. And that's what got me the foot in the door, and got me to like meet people. Everyone thought I was older than what I was, which I wasn't at the time. I was 18, but I was around so many people that were older than me that I got to learn a lot. And it was like, I was interning, but I was just there to learn, like I was I was working from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because it was a production company that they were producing like a couple shows at the same time.
Right.
So I was in office as I was also like on the field. So it was cool because I got both experiences. I got like the business aspects of like being on the phone with NBC and Viacom and like all these big networks, you know, doing notes and at 18 and like looking at old emails from the old assistants to kind of know how to write. And, you know, so I got so much like on-hand experience that when I finally was able to like make a decision to like go for my own career and just kind of like take that experience, I was able to take that with me, you know? And luckily when the whole social media came about, it was like, it was all together. I already had the connections behind the scenes with all these shows that I was working on. And then I was always like a social butterfly, which I think in LA it's not as common. I came from Miami, very like friendly, and I was never like the popular kid in school, but I was always friends with everyone. Like I was the kid that everybody knew, but not because I was popular, because I
don't believe that, but okay.
Yeah, but it's weird because everyone, the other day I bumped into someone that said that they knew me in high school. And they're like, yeah, you know, we always knew you're going to be somebody because you're popular. And I was like, I was. But the thing was that it wasn't that I was like the cliche popular kid that you see in school.
Right.
Like, it was more of like I was friends with literally everybody. Like if I saw a kid that was sitting by themselves, I would invite them to come eat with us. Like it made me feel bad to see someone like, actually, even nowadays, I'll go to lunch, I'll see like un viejito, like someone like sitting, and I'm like, oh my God, like why are you sitting? You know, so
yourself,
yeah. So I've always been very friendly, and I think that really helped. Although I was to a certain extent shy, I didn't know how to break the ice at first, but once I was in, like I was always very friendly, and I think in my career, my journey, I think what has helped me is my charisma, my you know, the way I'm with people, and I think that really attracts, you know, people to want to like be around you. So that helped a lot.
I'm really happy that you said that, because basically what you're describing is your humanity. And so we're going to get into that, because that's what the show is about, and not so many words, is our humanity, how we've been able to deal, cope, and create a platform for ourselves that helps us grow, but also we're leaving something behind for other people. So you said a couple of things that you mentioned family and growing up and how important it was for your family. And I understand this fully because I also come from a Latino family. And for my parents, it was imperative that I went to school and that I get a degree, and which I ended up going to school and dropping out 2 years in at the time to go to acting school. Right. So it's all about your desires and your passions. But in regards to your cultural upbringing, I know that we talked briefly about it, but tell me a story of resiliency. Like, did you have to overcome your parents maybe, you know, not holding you back, but, you know, kind of guiding your way? How did you manage the cultural aspect of your life, which is a big part of who we are, right? That's kind of what's amazing about Latinos family, that family is everything.
Yeah.
But how did you maneuver that to create space for you and for your dreams and because that's important.
Yeah.
You know,
actually, you know, for me, I actually, it bothers me sometimes when people are like, oh no, you know, cualquiera llega, right? Like anybody could do it if you have a family like yours that supports you and actually, you know, although my parents have always supported me, when I decided to not go to school, my dad cut me off completely. And that was, you know, everything. He stopped paying for my bills, he stopped paying for everything, which at the moment, obviously it bothered me because I'm like, well, now what? You know, I'm in LA by myself, and how am I supposed to survive out here without a job and, you know, and whatever. But at the same time, I'm kind of grateful for that, because thanks to that, I think to him, it was like, well, you're going to have to come back to Miami because you're not going to be able to survive on your own.
Right.
Obviously, he knows I have enough morals to not do anything crazy or, you know, do anything bad. So yeah, his thoughts were either you're going to go to school or you're going to come back home. So at that moment, I didn't rebel. I didn't, you know, I actually very respectfully, I gave him back the credit card he had gave me, you know, for emergencies. And I was like, you know what, if you're not going to help me, then don't help me at all, you know, and I'm going to figure it out. And that actually pushed me to want to work a little harder. You know, I had to work as an extra. And I mean, as an actress, I'm sure you know what that's like. I don't know if you ever had to be an extra, but the feeling is not as not how people think. You know,
it's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous.
It's not glamorous.
No, you have to be on set for over 20 something hours. You're earning like $80 a day, you know, and it seems like cool, but in the long run, as a person that's my passion, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be a person that has to be thing over there, wait 20 hours to pass by the camera, like, you know, so it does something to you, you know, and it was that. I was a brand ambassador for a lot of brands that were probably in the hoods of LA, you know. I had to do many jobs. I was a PA. I one of my favorite jobs, honestly, was a on the road PA. I was like the PA that would like send the checks from one network to the other. I would go to Paramount and like just submit some check, and I thought that was so cool. But I did a lot of
talent around.
Yeah, I had to drive all around LA and like go to all these big studios, but all of that, not only did it help me in the long run because I met so many people along the way, but it you know, it just helped me to como que echar pa'lante, like to go, like move forward, like. Oh
my God, I love that.
And that was something that at that point I realized I was like, and you know, so many times, even with the videos on Instagram and the comedy, you know, at the beginning, you know, my dad was like, oh, those little videos, those little stupid videos. And I was like, okay, just because, you know, like they didn't see the value in it, which is fine. But eventually it was like, I was able to not only myself, but my own family wrong. Like, you know what? I'm going to make a career out of anything that I'm doing, you know, eventually it's going to pay off. And I think, I mean, coming from a religious family and stuff, I believe that like God puts things in your, you know, you work hard and then he aligns everything, you know, and I feel like that's a lot what happened for me. Like a lot of people are like, well, how did you do this? And I was like, I feel like in this industry, and you could probably back that up, is that there's no really a path. Everyone has their own path. You know, everyone has their opportunities and different ways of how they made it or you know, or doing things. For me, I think it's just been persistence, discipline, and just always being, I guess, at the right place at the right time. But I feel like I put myself in those situations many times. Like I would say no to I would literally never say no to anything. Like I was always there. I was always on time, whether I was getting paid or not, you know, whether it was going to be a benefit or not. Actually, still right now, I went to LA and a friend of mine called me to go like, I guess like a listening thing for a friend of ours. I mean, I didn't even know the artist, you know, and I went and then came out of there with like a whole contact, you know, right. Producer that like produces for like Cardi B and all these people. And I'm like, I didn't even go for that, you know, like, so, right. But I guess it's because I'm not a person that's like, oh no, if it's not for me, if there's no benefit, I'm not going. It's like, okay, if I have the time, why not? You know? So I always feel like it's that saying. I don't know if I know it, but it's something of like,
you're going to say it.
Preparation meets opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And luck is when preparation meets opportunity, because there's no such thing as luck, right? You create everything around us right now, every situation, and although even the situations that we call upon us that are not the most favorable, they're there to serve us ultimately. Yeah. So I love everything you just said, because, you know, you talk about God. God will continue to give you the same lesson until you learn it, and then you can graduate to the next one.
I'm still learning,
right? Yeah. And in every situation. Okay, I am so happy you're basically just like taking this interview and running with it and giving us all, you know, how hard you worked, how, you know, you really have to show up even when you're not getting paid, ultimately prepared, because you never know where the opportunity lies. Yeah. I want to shift a little bit to last year. COVID was crazy for all of us. And I want to be cognizant of the fact that this is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. Yeah. You know, maybe some of you listening have been affected in a deep, meaningful way that I haven't. I haven't lost anybody due to COVID. So I want to say that if COVID is a touchy subject for you, which it is for all of us in many different ways, but if you've lost someone, or if you're in the middle of that right now, my heart goes out to you, and I'm very sorry that you're going through that. We're here on this conversation gonna focus on the resiliency aspect of it. Those of us that have so many hurdles to overcome, from mental instability to depression, just to how it really has affected all of us individually. Do you have a story that you want to share or something that you had to overcome during COVID, your family, because that's really what we want to do. This is a platform that we created to get vulnerable about everything that's going on around COVID and how it's affected the entire world in such an enormous way.
Yeah, well, for me, it was a lot, actually. Not that I ever really expressed it or you could ever tell, but I made so many changes during COVID, especially the beginning. I moved from LA, where I was living 7 years, where it's where I didn't grow up in LA, but I went at 18. So that's like my growing years, right? My official growing as an adult years. Right. And in my career. And I made that change to move back home to Miami, where I said that I would never move back unless either I made it or I gave up. So it was neither for me. I didn't give up, but I also don't feel like I made it, to a point where like I could be anywhere and I just would get called, Yeah. So when I moved back, I realized I experienced so much loneliness. And that, with me, like I've never been alone. Like I've never been in a situation where like I don't have anyone or to talk to or that understands me or like nothing. So I come back here and I thought I'm going to be closer to my family, which I am, which is amazing. I've gotten a lot closer to my parents, especially. But many times I felt off. I felt like I didn't relate to a lot of the people that were here. I feel like we were all living a life where we were all like in a rush to like the next goal or the next thing or the next event. And it really taught me to like kind of slow down and take everything in for what it is and not force things. Like, I feel like, even for me, like, I feel like I was always in a rush comparing myself. Like, I'm 25, right? I'm too old. Like, I have to do this. I have to do that. And I felt like I was constantly comparing my career and my life to other people, without realizing that everyone has their time, and everyone's timing is supposed to happen when it's supposed to happen. And there's reasons why things don't happen when they don't. So I had to really learn that. And in moments where I had those down times, I felt like I analyzed something that to me was really crazy. Was I felt like I was living a life like a robot, where every day I would wake up and it was a routine of I did this, I did that, and my days were booked with things to do. But right. It was like when I had nothing to do, I was like a lost soul. Like, what do I do? What does Leli like to do on her free time? Like, and then when I realized that, it really made me feel bad, because I was like, I don't even know what I like to do. Like, I know what I like, but when I'm not doing anything, like, I'm almost like lost, like depressed.
Like what feeds your soul and what makes you.
And sometimes I feel like most Americans too, I feel like we live a life where like our work is our life, right? Our lives revolve around our work, our careers. So I feel like when I had all this downtime, or like we had all this free time, I was like, I need to start enjoying things that I like and start figuring out what those things are. Because as we grow, the things that I might have liked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, are not the same things that I like now. So I started connecting with myself more, and I realized I like nature. I like going on adventures. I like, obviously traveling has always been something that I liked, I think, for all of us. But
all of us, right?
Yeah. But just normal things like painting, like reading, like writing, I find so much joy in writing. I love writing. And I knew that already because of the music. That's kind of the reason why music came into my life. But just writing in general, like free writing, like I realized that I am able to really process my thoughts, because my thoughts go at like 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I think 1,000 things at once. So I realized how to calm those, overthinking, anxieties and stuff like that I think I've never experienced before. And obviously in a time like COVID, where we're so unsure of what's going on, people, there's so much bad news. Like, I think it was important for us to really connect with ourselves.
I love so much of what you said. You were so vulnerable in accepting the fact that so many of us are so fall prey to these thoughts that we're always comparing, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? What am I not doing? What, am I not doing enough? Why am I here? I love that you said that, because Leli, that is a hard thing to say and to admit and to realize about yourself. And it puts you in a place of power to be able to, when you're able to be self-reflective like that and look at yourself, that's like my best friend will tell you, I always say, know thyself.
Yeah.
Because if you know yourself, and you just gave us 3 good minutes of how COVID really made you sit down with yourself and understand the things that feed your soul, the things that Leli likes, not just giving to the world, but how do I sit alone with myself and enjoy my own company? Exactly. What do I enjoy? Yeah. What things make me happy? What things bring me joy? And you know what? The richer your inner life is, the more it's going to show up in your work, especially as an artist. I mean, I know that you know this because you've.
Well, actually, that's the reason why I had to tap in so much into my, inner self, because a lot of what we do is creativity. And if our mind's not right, our creativity isn't either. So for me, it's like when I feel good and I look good, my ideas are crazy. Like I have all these ideas and I just want to get them done. But when I'm not feeling myself, or when I'm not feeling good inside, or when I'm going through many things in my head, I can't function. Like I can't do anything. Like I'm not myself. And one of the things that make me is me being myself. So definitely that. And even, going back to the comparing thing, it wasn't even coming from like an envious way either, because, some people like, it wasn't like that, which is where I would catch myself. I'm like, why am I comparing myself to this person? Why am I feeling this way? But I think it's very human in us. I think it's very normal for us to sometimes think something's wrong with us. It's not that we're not happy for other people or we see it. It's more of like, what am I doing wrong? Should I be doing this? Should I have done that? And, it's just things that it's kind of like we're our biggest critic. Like we're really hard on ourselves sometimes. And it's really important that we like catch ourselves when we do that, because I wrote something the other day, which is a quote that I had heard before, but it's like we live most of our lives in our heads, so make sure it's a happy place to be in. And and when I read that, I was like, I live by that, because it's true. Like I'm an overthinker, and I was like, I need to start controlling those things.
So to kind of tie everything together, so writing is sort of meditative for you. Yes. You like being in nature. What does that look like? So what are your meditative practices? And you just mentioned your mantra. So you're already giving me everything that I was going to ask.
I was giving you that.
You live by a mantra. You do. You live by how you gauge it by asking yourself, what are the thoughts in my head? Because we live in there. So am I creating a fertile place of beauty and like joy? And then you write. Yes. Are those your meditative practices, or do you do other self-help or self-love rituals that you do?
I usually do a lot of things. I think I'm a Gemini, so as a Gemini.
My daughter's going to be a Gemini.
Really?
Yeah.
One of my close friends, her son's birthday is the same day as my birthday. I remember when she called me. She's like, "Oh my God, happy birthday! My son is born."
When's your birthday?
June 15.
What is it? May 15th?
June 15th.
That's my mom's birthday. Really? Okay, we have to have my mom is the best person in the world. I get it now.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. Okay, go ahead.
So as a Gemini, I feel like I'm a person that I can, my moods bounces a lot. Maybe as a woman in general, but my moods bounce a lot. But I'm a person that I can't be in a depressive mode for too long. Like I have to like shake it off. Like I'll be sad for a little bit, and then that's it. I'm like, okay.
Time to move on.
Exactly. Right. But usually in those moments are where I really, really work on like those, like I really try hard on those self-love rituals and things to do, because those are the times when we feel, our weakest, and especially when it comes from other people that make you feel that way. And I feel like a lot of what I do is like, I'll have guided meditation, like where, I kind of, whether I'm going through anxiety or stressed or whatever it is, like I like listening to guided meditation. I don't like just to listen to just, music just by itself. Unless like if I can't sleep, then I'll have like classical music in the background. Right. But for the most part, I like guided meditation. I realize that has really calmed me down when I'm really going through anxiety or whatever I'm feeling. I love candles, like just candles all over.
Create a little sanctuary for yourself.
Yeah, it's like a very, and then I think eating healthy helps a lot too. Like when you're eating healthy and you feel like healthy, it really does help a lot, because it's like when your house is messy. If your house is messy, that's exactly how you feel. So
can't do it. Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of like just Nothing crazy. I don't do anything crazy. You know, I like going to the beach. When it comes to nature, I realize I really like mountains, which is weird because in Miami, I never grew up with mountains, you know, in Miami. Yeah. But after living in LA and then experiences in DR and just different places I've gone, I really like just being like up, like on a mountain.
High elevation, close to the sky.
Yeah, I like the ocean a lot. Like that's like a very peaceful thing for me. But other than that, like, you know, recently, you know, being obviously my family, that's number one, always like being around my family. But for myself, just being on my own, I really like just keeping things clean, meditation, a guided meditation. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You're like a breath of fresh air, and you're so young, and you have so much.
Now, this is now after years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And you know what? Most 25-year-olds don't. I mean, I when I was 25, I don't know that I had all this clarity about things, and I was certainly working in the industry, and I was going through a lot of the same things that you mentioned. But you know, yeah, it's analyzing yourself and knowing yourself and creating space and grace for the feelings that you're feeling and getting through those things is really important. So I commend you on that. Okay, so we're going to close out. Is there anything that you're working on that you want to promote and share with our Soul Revival crew? We're so happy to have you, and I'm so excited for you, Leli. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Really am.
I'm super excited, you know, and actually doing this to end like Women's Month. I think it's super important, and it's I love it. No, but right now we're releasing a song Tuesday, March 30th. And it's a remix. I'm in it, which is very like, it's No Scrubs remake, but it's finished.
Nice. I love that. I love that song. In Spanish? I can't wait to hear it. I cannot wait to hear it.
So I'm excited about that. And I'm going to continue with the music, and hopefully I'll be able to share some of the things that we got going on. Yeah. And then I have another show that I'm working on with my best friend, Henao. Very women empowering, which I'm super excited about. I'm not gonna say what it's called, but
don't give it away if you can't. We're always looking, and if you ever want to promote anything on our platform or through me, like we can always talk and get creative, because I believe in the power of women, and I believe that the more that we help each other rise, the more opportunities come our way.
Yeah.
And I know that you feel the same way. I see it the way you are with your tight group of friends, because I witnessed you guys. We were at Coachella one year together, and I was like, those girls, they're going to do something.
Yeah, no, I think that's for me, I think that's the biggest part, like of one thing that I've learned. What's for you, it's for you. And that's why I will continue to help whoever I can help along the way, and help create, you know, together, because at the end of the day, like, it's like they say, teamwork makes the dream work. And I really believe in that. And I love seeing my friends do well. And I think we've all kind of been really good at helping each other, you know, grow and come up with ideas.
Support each other. And there's nothing in this world that was meant for you that won't come your way. So let's leave it there. Te quiero mucho. Te mando un besito. Saludes a tu mami. Yo sé que she wants to leave, but we haven't let her. Leli, thank you so much. I want to send you a big hug and a kiss, and please keep us posted on everything that you do going forward. We'll be looking anyway, because we all follow you. And thank you for being a Soul Revival guest today. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Congrats on the baby. I can't wait to see her.
I can't wait to see her either. I don't even know what's going to happen when they put her on my chest. I might just explode. I don't know. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Let's stay tuned. We have so much more coming up. The program is only, it's not just getting started, but I hope you guys are enjoying. Thank you, Leli. And let's move on.
Hey everyone, I'm Sandra G, and I hope that you enjoyed this performance of my latest single, Tumba la Casa. funny enough, this song was made during the pandemic, and I feel like this past year, the way that I got through it and the way that I was able to keep on believing on myself and being motivated was through music. And this song, beautifully enough, was born out of a place where we were all confined to our houses and confined to our thoughts, and we decided to make something beautiful and something that reminded us of our culture of Latinos, of the fact that, you know, everywhere we are, we choose to have a sort of party, you know, a sort of a gathering. Everything for us is something, it's something bigger than it is, you know. And so how I got through this 2020 and what really helped me through just powering on in general was music, and was beautiful friendships, and not only that, but just staying present and not looking in the past, not comparing, you know, oh, this was last year, and not even, oh, this is what I want to do, all the goals that I want to fulfill, all the jobs that I want to get, not even that either, but staying in the presence, taking each day at a time, being okay with not constantly, I guess, auditioning and constantly looking for jobs, and, you know, just staying present and letting go and just being. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoy this performance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ay, 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 yo quiero que me digas todo lo que tú quieras, y tú quieres fugarte de esta, pero no lo permito. Tires ahora si tú quieres conmigo, prende esa mecha que yo quiero peligro. What you say now? I'm trying to be MIA. Let it up to the sun. Yeah, I know you're running there. Tumba la casa, papi, ¿qué te pasa? Habla por la raza, ven y míralo. Que te candela y tienes que pagarlo. Vamos a jugar a quien lo hace. Tumba la casa, papi, ¿qué te pasa? Habla por la raza, ven y míralo. Que te candela y tienes que pagarlo. Vamos a jugar a quien lo hace mejor. Ey. Mira esta jevita, papi, yo te quiero ver. Ey, con tu mano de artista, píntame, dibújame. Suelta la nota, ven y prende conmigo. Dale sin miedo, yo te enseño el camino. What you say now? I'm trying to be MIA. Light it up to the sunrise. I know you running. Tumba la casa, papi, ¿qué te pasa? Hablo por la raza, ven y míralo. Que te candela y tienes que pagarlo. Vamos a jugar a quien lo hace. Tumba la casa, papi, ¿qué te pasa? Hablo por la raza, ven y míralo. Que te candela y tienes que pagarlo. Vamos a jugar a quien lo hace mejor. A quien lo hace mejor. Hey. Tumba, 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 ay. Yeah, vamos a tumbar esta casa. Muchas gracias.
Hello, welcome back. I am so excited because we are about to have some incredible boss lady conversations with special guests Jessica Hall and Anjali Rajpal, Dr. Anjali Rajpal. And this amazing and inspiring conversation was brought to you by our sponsor, Keto and Botanical. It's a spritz with 40% less calories than a glass of wine. So please join along and have one of your own at home with our inspiring, musing conversations. So hi, Jess and Anjali. How are you?
Good. Hi. I'll be
Good.
better once I this.
Which spritz did you choose?
Oh, I chose, I like all three. So I kind of just said, surprise me. So I can't wait to try it and I'll let you know.
Amazing.
Mine is the peach orange blossom and it's beautiful.
Ooh, I want that.
I did the cucumber mint. It's like
refreshing.
Refreshing for the afternoon.
But I'll take all three.
So thank you guys so much for being here. We kind of, this is a celebration and also just talking about what it has taken us to get through the past year. So I would love to hear, Jess, you are a podcast host of Flashbacks. You're an influencer. You are a super mama. So I'd love to start with you and just hear what this last year has been for you and how you've gotten through it.
I think like so many, this year has been hard on many levels. It's affected everyone differently. For me, being a mom, I think the hardest part is my daughter starting kindergarten and not being able to go to school. So she doesn't even quite understand what a school kind of even looks like at this point. She's doing kindergarten online. And I mean, to be honest, I probably shouldn't admit this, but I'm sitting here who repeated kindergarten twice. And it's like my only goal is to get my kids through kindergarten this year. I know. But they're learning a lot. And I'm, taking on the role not only as a working mom, but also, being a teacher and just trying to make it seem as normal and easy as possible, which has not been, it definitely has had its hardships for sure. But just trying to navigate the new normal, and I'm seeing that things are looking up. So I'm, getting excited for that. And, our kids do get to return to school, but it's been a solid year of having them both at home. And it's been hard, it's been hard, and not telling why she can't do this and why she has to go on a computer and see these children she's never met. And I know that there are so many moms and dads out there that are dealing with the same exact situation. And none of us ever expected anything like this. So yeah, I think COVID, the hardest part for me was just trying to navigate school and making as much as normalcy as I can for my kids.
Yeah. What's the daily life with two little ones? I'm sure you had to get so creative on how you spend your time at home.
Yes. And I look at it, so many people look, and we go to social media and we see these people making this craft and baking this and that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm not the craftiest person. I really cannot stand to cook. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I have evolved so much, not only as a mom, but as a wife, and I'm like, okay, I got to get creative. I got to keep these kids busy. And I, want them to think like everything is fine and, save their innocence and let them be kids. And so I definitely had to step up my game. I can say that for sure.
That's amazing. Inspiring. So Dr. Anjali, you own Beverly Hills Dental Arts. Is that right?
Yep. That's the name.
And it's the best. I have to a personal testament that I went to you. You're now my dentist, and you have massage chairs, and it's the most incredible experience. But as a female entrepreneur, as a female entrepreneur during this time, how have you had to shift and evolve your practice?
So this year has definitely been the most interesting, incredible, transformative year I think any of us have ever been through. It's almost been like a forced midlife crisis that everyone had to just reset themselves and reconfigure themselves and just adjust to the new way of being, whatever it was, and constantly evolve with the whole situation as it would evolve itself. So my personal situation, I have been a dentist for several years, but I was always working in someone else's office, renting space, building my own clientele. But I kind of hit a wall in January last year, and I just wanted out of my situation. I wanted to have my own vision, my own independence, my own creation. And I just didn't want to be inhibited or repressed by any other situations. So I actually was planning on working on moving in January, and my whole deal went through. The loan for my practice literally went through like 2 days before we stopped working in March, which was crazy. So I just had to roll with it as well and just try to talk myself through all the fear and just focus on my long-term vision and know that whatever's happening in this moment, who knows how long it's going to last. I don't think anyone expected it would carry on for as long as it did. Yeah. But it was very interesting because I could have either chickened out or I could have womaned up and just decided, okay, I'm going to focus on the long-term vision and just ride through this bumpy road, this bumpy time right now, and just keep my eye on the prize. And so it was crazy, but there were some blessings for me with we had about 2.5 months off of work where we were only allowed to see true emergency patients. So through half of March and May and June, through half of March, April and May, we weren't allowed to work. And then I opened in June. And I had no idea what to expect because the general public was completely freaked out. And we were going through riots the first week of opening. So it was literally we came to work every day, and Beverly Hills would call us on the phone, the city, and tell us that there was a curfew at 12 p.m. So literally every day for the first week, it was just a crazy beginning as well. But I just find this period so interesting because I have a younger patient population. So they've been more animated and riding this out pretty well and not as fearful. So we just have accommodated everyone. And we've actually had a really good flow of patients through the whole entire time for the most part. And it's just been interesting interacting with so many different patients and hearing all their different stories, what each one of them are going through. And just seeing all of them develop personally and emotionally as they surmount whatever challenges each of us are faced with. I mean, so many of my patients are in so many different industries. Some have started things that have blown up and taken off because it's been working with the online environment. And then others have been a forced pause. And so it's really interesting hearing everyone's stories and kind of like bonding together with everyone to give each other strength to ride this all out.
Well, and what a time for your practice to start. I mean, just a few days before, like you're going to be able to navigate anything moving forward now. Like you've gone through it.
Yeah, those few months, I was doing so much of the paperwork and putting everything together, setting up shop. So I literally didn't have a minute to just even think. A lot of my friends were like talking about TV shows and like finishing Netflix. And I literally was like, I don't have a second for that. And I would have these obstacles come up one after another. And there was no time to think about it or stress about it. You were just like, okay, problem, solution. And you just keep going. And I think I developed like just resilience through that whole process. It was like so intense that you just keep that resilience going. And as something pops up, okay, if I handle that craziness, I can handle this. And everything is it really is like a spiritual growth as well, because you're developing yourself and your inner strength so much on a daily basis. And so just the whole growth of my practice has kind of been like a spiritual experiment for me, and just seeing what helps, like, what do I need to do emotionally? What kind of mindset do I need to have in place to just continue prospering and focusing on my vision and making things happen?
It's similar to being a mom, right, Jess? Like problem, solution.
You have to have solutions. I love when people ask me, they go, how do you balance it all? I go, oh, no, I don't. Like, I really don't. And if you figure that out, please tell me.
Right.
And like what you said, it's been like a spiritual awakening year. I feel like I definitely have seen last year knowing, okay, I'm going to go into 2021 and this is what I want. This is who I want to spend my time with. This is where I want to go in my career. This is where I'm most happy. And so the silver lining for me is just kind of, all the stuff that I thought that I was missing or that I should be doing and spreading myself way too thin. I am no longer doing that. I am just putting my focus into what I find joy in and what does well for me and my family and my well-being. And I have to say, I definitely came this year being like, okay, this is great. I feel a lot happier. I feel a lot less stress. And instead of giving like 70% to these certain things that I was doing, I can now fully give 100%. So
yeah, that's really beautifully said. I feel very kind of similar where all of the things before this year, it's like we were fulfilled being really active and filling it with a lot of things. And it's like being forced to slow down. Exactly what you said. It's like, what does make me happy? How do I feel fulfilled? Who do I want to be around? And that has helped navigate everything else, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we have a weekly thing we do at Modern Muse where we feature a Muse of the Week, but it's kind of gamified where we just ask some questions. So I thought it would be fun to ask you guys a couple of the musing questions. Okay, here we go. What advice would you give your younger self?
Don't take your clothes off. That's for more money. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, but whatever it is. Go ahead, doctor.
For me, it would be just do what feels good and authentic to yourself. Don't worry about what everyone thinks of you, and just know that you can pretty much do anything. You just have to decide that you want to do it and go for it. Just don't be so fearful of stuff. But I think, like you were saying, especially this year, I think because so many people spend so much time, many hours on their own, just resetting, it really makes you realize, what brings me joy? Who can I hang out with that is in alignment with my purpose? What am I doing in terms of activities and all of that that's in alignment with my true self? And so yeah, it's just being true to yourself and enjoying what you do, and not like, I feel like a lot of this superficiality in terms of our activities and interactions, I feel like it's shifting a bit because people have had to be real with themselves, and so they have to be real with others.
Hold up, can I redo mine? I'm totally kidding. Definitely not sweat the stuff. That's what I would tell myself. Everything that I was doing at that point in my life is going to lead you where you are today. And I wish, like, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I stressed so much about that when I was younger. Like, really, nothing's really that important. And at the end of the day, it just all falls into place.
Yeah.
And you see what really is important.
Of course. Yeah. Oh gosh, those things that you worried about in your early years. Wow. Wow.
But it's and like you said, you're going to learn from it. So it's like, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't regret it. Just learn from it. Right?
Yeah. And tomorrow's a new day. Always.
Okay. And one more question. When you have a hard day or a hard moment, do you have any like go-to practices or methods that help you overcome it?
Alcohol. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. This is live. I apologize. No, I love to meditate. So I do take a few minutes to myself. I like affirmation cards. I just kind of like to pull things back and just realize what's important, what I'm grateful for, and know that everything is going to go into place the way it should be. And you can't, I like control, and I cannot control everything. So by letting go just a little bit helps me a lot.
Yeah, beautiful.
And for me, it's baths. I was taking a lot of baths.
Yeah. It's like CBD bath bombs are so amazing.
And, Epsom salt and lavender, whatever. It's very relaxing. So bathing and just being in the outdoors. I love hiking and being with the trees and just being with nature, because that always seems to reset me if I can. Otherwise,
you lock yourself in the bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, as you're bathing, you're kind of chilling out and in a meditation kind of vibe. So
what are you doing in the bathtub?
So cheers, you guys.
Cheers.
I want to thank Ketel One Botanical and all of our sponsors who support, honor, and promote wellness of mind, body, and consciousness of diverse women in our community. Thank you guys so much for joining this Boss Lady segment. Enjoy your cocktail.
Yes, and let's celebrate our inner muse with Ketel One Botanical Spritz made with vodka, distilled, and real botanicals and infused with natural flavors. It's the perfect spritz o'clock companion. Cheers.
It really is. Cheers.
much.
That was so much fun. Thank you again, Jessica and Anjali. And now we have two more special guests joining us. We have Chachi, who is bi-coastal between Miami and New York. And we have Samantha Lim, who's in Chicago, joining us to share with us their boss lady stories and their musings while they enjoy their Ketel One Botanical Spritz. So cheers.
Hi everyone, my name is Grisel del Valle, also known as Chachi, and I personally would love to thank Modern Muse and Ketel One Botanicals for having us and for hosting such awesome event where us women can share our resilient stories of all the things we've overcame and all the things we've been through throughout this past year that has been so trying and testing to, I believe, each and every one of us. Connecting us is so important, especially nowadays when we're so disconnected from one another, trying to follow the proper protocols and be safe and keep our family and friends safe. So this is pretty awesome to be able to be at home, but still share my story with you guys and be with you guys as well. This past year for me has been a trying one, a testing one. It's been a year where it's forced me to think back on everything I've been through, every stage I've graced. It's been a time of reflection for me. Because I'm a singer, dancer, actress, so much of my time is always all over the place and I'm barely ever home. So I think this is the longest I've ever been home, to be quite honest. What I loved about this time was that the reflection I came across and just thinking back and replaying all those beautiful memories of all my colleagues and, like I said, all the countries and different arenas that I've been able to perform in, all the musicals and shows I've been able to be part of. It made me feel so very grateful for everything I have and everyone that I have had the pleasure of working with. So it's definitely been a time of reflection. You know, during this time, I believe that me and my grandmother got closer. We spent a lot of time together, but this time in particular, I decided to, when we locked down in New York, New Jersey, I decided to lock down with my grandmother and my aunt, who's a breast cancer survivor. And I felt that it was important for me to spend that time with them so that I could at least be the one to, you know, take care of them if need be. And I'm happy I did that because I feel like in this time, it drew me closer to my grandmother, who's my favorite person in this whole wide world. But at the same time, getting to know all these stories that I didn't know about her childhood, about her migration from Puerto Rico into the United States and how her story and her journey was. There was things I didn't know about my family that I got to know because of this time. So that was a beautiful thing. And it was nice to be home and enjoy her cooking, though at times I had to be careful because I was like, Grandma, I mean, you can't be giving me all this good food all the time. Like, hold on. I'm going to come out of this freaking quarantine like 90 pounds heavier. Thank God I didn't. But it was nice being home and reading. I actually read so much, which is cool because, you know, sometimes in the real world, you're so busy and so caught up with so many things that you don't really have the time to sit down and just have a moment, you know? And that was a beautiful part of this whole thing of forcing me to slow down, you know, forcing me to take a seat and just take care of myself and rest. not sure if you guys know what a tour is like, but when you're on tour, it's very little to no sleep, different countries, flights at all different times, jet lagged. So that definitely takes a toll on your body. And so I was happy that I was able to take care of my body during this time. I guess a story of resilience that I want to share with you guys. I feel something that I've personally overcome has been the balance between my personal life and my career. For so long, I thought that I wouldn't be able to do both things, that I wouldn't be able to have a solid, healthy foundation with a partner and also be able to do what I do, which is sing, dance, and act. I also do humanitarian work, which is very selfless of me, but it also requires a lot of time. So I never thought I would be able to like balance those things, because so many times when I was in a relationship, I wasn't really working or doing the things that I wanted to do, or other times when I was doing what I wanted to do career-wise, it just felt like I wasn't in healthy relationships or they wouldn't work. And so I feel like now I found the perfect balance. I found the perfect partner, someone who definitely relates to me, relates to my lifestyle, though we have totally different careers. It's very much like he understands my lifestyle because he lives the same exact lifestyle. And so he was looking for a partner that understood where he was coming from. And I actually think this pandemic, though we didn't spend so much time together, it definitely made our bond a lot stronger. And I think if you survived in a relationship during this pandemic, it really shows that, you know, you found a really good partner, or that you found someone that you can really like, you clicked very well with. After, you know, everything is said and done, I could say that, you know, I'm engaged, we're planning a wedding, we're planning a life together, and I'm also able to still be working on my music, something that I was a little bummed about, because not being able to go to the studio or not being able to fulfill so many of the plans that I had for 2020. I really thought 2020 was going to be a huge year for me, just because of the momentum that I had leading up to 2020. But it didn't work out like that. And sometimes, you know, we may have all the plans, or we think we have all the plans, but if we're too busy planning everything out in our lives, then we don't really let divine timing do what it's really supposed to do. So I guess 2020 taught me that, you know, sometimes you just have to sit back and trust the flow of life, right? And so that's something that I definitely did, and I'm doing. Happy that we are following the proper protocols to be, you know, safe in our work environment. And, you know, we're wearing our masks, we're getting tested before being on set. We're doing a lot of things that I think are important, especially for the balance of being able to work during this pandemic and during this time. I missed my field so much, and I really missed being able to be around people. I think as an artist, you're always feeding off of the energy that people give you. And though I loved the lives that I would do for Facebook and IG, it's still not the same as to when you have an audience in front of you and you can feel the synergy that together you're creating. So I guess that's what I miss the most. But I'm happy to say that, you know, I'm still working on my music. I'm still working on my craft, working on a one-woman show. There's a lot that I've been able to still do little by little, but I'm still being able to do it. And that's important because that fulfills me like nothing else. My work fulfills me like nothing else. So I hope that, you know, with the time that's supposed to be approaching us, you know, we can get a hold of this. We can go back to some type of normal, though I think we won't ever be as normal as we were before. But yeah, I'm currently working on my music. I have plans of creating the new music video for the new song that's about to come out, Masoquista. I hope that you guys can stay tuned to my pages and all the stuff that I have planned for you all. You can definitely check me out at Chachi Nation on Instagram. And pretty soon the website will be done as well. It'd be www.griseldelvalle.com. And that's where you can find everything from calendars to new updates, music, videos, content, and special things that I love to do for each and every one of y'all. I just want to thank, you know, Kettle One Botanicals, because truly you guys have something so yummy here. I mean, this one's my favorite. It's the cucumber mint one. These spritz are incredible, and it's awesome to be able to share aspirational stories of women and have this girl talk, but then at the same time be able to enjoy a delicious drink. So cheers to all you beautiful women, because it is Women's History Month, that are being resilient, that are not giving up, that are fighting for what you want, that are standing up and speaking out for ourselves, that are, getting up every day, even when we don't feel like getting up, that we're putting on that face of like, let's get this job done because that's all we have. So this toast is for you. Thank you again, Modern Muse and Kettle One Botanicals, for having me. I appreciate you guys, and I definitely appreciate this platform. Happy Women's Month. Cheers.
Hello, everybody. I'm Samantha Lim, and I want to thank Modern Muse and Kettle One Botanicals for having me today. I'm so happy to be here at this digital conference, something that we've gotten so used to this year. And I can't wait to talk to you about resiliency, which is honestly probably the #1 thing that I've focused on, meditated on, really embraced this year, because it's been such an unpredictable, crazy, just unimaginable year. So resiliency to me, like, what does that really mean? It really, the definition changes for me a lot, but right now it really means knowing that you are the only one who has the power and who has the responsibility to pick yourself up and to move yourself forward through life, no matter what is going on around you. I have had quite a tumultuous year. In January of last year, I exited my company. I'd moved to Los Angeles from New York after 13 years of being a fashion and beauty editor, after working in advertising, after being an executive at a couple luxury beauty brands, and had started a beauty incubator where we had built and developed brands for celebrities and influencers. And I had just felt really burnt out, was really kind of trying to find balance in my life, and had dedicated my whole life to my career, and exited this company that I had built on the West Coast and had so much fun doing, but planned to just take a couple of months off, and that couple of months stretched into a global pandemic. My partner at the time was living in Chicago, so I actually moved to Chicago as well, which was another just culture shock, career shock, and just crazy adventure and lesson in resiliency daily. It was just this constant reminder that we can't really control what is happening in the world around us, but we can control what we choose to do and how we choose to move in it, through it, past it, and how to use that energy. That is really what resiliency is. It doesn't need to happen just in your career, or like just with your friendships, or just with yourself. It's something that you can take into account in every aspect of your life. I think that in having the time and the, being really blessed and privileged is the word, to be privileged enough to sit and have the time to think about what I wanted to do with my time next, like what kind of company did I want to start next, while watching just the world around me as I knew it was crumble, with systemic racism, with the pandemic, with just the polarization in politics dividing groups, friends, family members. What did I want to do to participate in that conversation, to provide something helpful, and to, do something meaningful, but also do something that I know. I come from the world of fashion and beauty. I come from advertising. I come from storytelling. I come from journalism. What were my strengths? What could my experience do, but also give back and kind of help heal this world that we all kind of helped break in different ways over the past years and years. So that's when my business partner and I came up with our latest idea, which was our company Dream, Learn, Do More. And we're an activism-based apparel line. We mainly make like t-shirts and sweatshirts that have positive, cheeky, stylish, clever designs that are just mirrors to what we're seeing in politics and in culture, in science, in everything. We started this idea in the summer on a couple of different parts. You know, we started to think about what is the future of work? How is this pandemic changing how we want to live our lives and what we want to do? And how can we start a company that is remote, that is from our laptops, that doesn't tie us to a factory, a warehouse, an office that we need to go to, because all of those things had gotten taken away from us. And so those were kind of these key tenets. What did we want to do? We didn't want to create products that were wasteful or unnecessary or didn't contribute in a meaningful way. And that's kind of how we came up with t-shirts that have a message or serve a purpose, because fueling conversation and discussion and rhetoric just really seemed to be the most important thing in this year. Like, nobody knows the answers. We are in complete uncharted territory, but starting a conversation by someone seeing like a funny message or like an interesting slogan on your shirt seemed like a really clever way that could contribute. And then forming our company to have charitable aspects tied into every single purchase. So with every purchase, we had partnered with a different charity depending on what the shirt is and what the message is. This all started around the election, and we were raising money for the Biden campaign. Though no judgment on what your politics are. And we really just figured out that we could use our backgrounds in design, in storytelling and branding, in influencers and social media to participate in a relevant way to help, you know, kind of respond and react to the culture that was happening around us. You know, something that we talked about all the time was just being sad and just being depressed. And we were panicking and freaking out about COVID this way. And then you just turn this way and you're panicking and freaking out about Black Lives Matter and all the systemic racism and, you know, being an Asian woman, like how the anti-Asian sentiment was bleeding through society. And you turn this way and it's like political upheaval. People are acting crazy, like you're unfriending family members on Facebook just because you're getting in such intense fights about politics in ways that you never have before. And it just felt so heavy. And being locked inside, not seeing people, not having human interaction, how do you find the resiliency? How do you find the grit to get through that? And, you know, I think I remember thinking it was so crazy because I would just look at something and I would just start crying. Or I would just see someone and couldn't even find the energy to ask how they're doing because I didn't have the strength to have another conversation about how sad we were and how just kind of hopeless everything felt. And, you know, it was taking that same energy and all of those things around us and turning it around and thinking, you know, what's the positive spin on this? Like, how can I be sad and yet still find joy? Or how can I be sad or angry and create something and put that energy and effort towards changing in a little way? You know, it's not about changing the world and fixing the world in one fell swoop. It was more about how can we chip away at these things little by little, here and there, to help feel like we're contributing and to feel like we're a part of making it better, or at least just helping you get through the next day. You know, and also we were kind of just discovering something we had no idea how to do. Like, I had no idea how to run an I have been at brands that have sold online, but my expertise certainly was not in building an e-commerce company, let alone an apparel company, let alone do all of the graphic design work myself, let alone understand how to do advertising. And it just became about goal setting too. It was like, yeah, but why not try? There's no reason. There's no one stopping me. Not everybody knows how to do these things either. Why not just try? And, through lots of Googling, lots of YouTube tutorials, videos, like Reddit threads, we kind of hacked it all together ourselves. And it just became about goal setting too. It became, I'm locked in my apartment 24/7. I can't go anywhere. I live in Chicago, a city that I am unfamiliar with. I don't know anybody. Like, oh my God, this is sad. And it was about how to just take every day and set goals and be positive. And, my advice and reflection on that is, I used to set tiny goals every day and it'd be all about the to-do list. It would be cross these things off the to-do list. You feel super great. You can only do things that are accomplishable. Like, that's great. And you win every time. This year was a total shift in that. It was about setting goals I couldn't possibly achieve and, continuing to chip away at them and being completely okay, even encouraging, like failure needed to be an option. If failure wasn't an option, then we were making way too conservative and safe decisions. We weren't taking risks, and therefore we weren't getting rewards. And the second that we started to just shoot for the moon, set impossible goals, and try things that we had no idea how to do, that's when we started to see some huge wins. That's when celebrities started to notice. That's when things started to go viral. That's when things really kind of hockey sticked and picked up for us in such an unimaginable, organic way. And I've got 13 years of work experience and career building under my belt, and I was doing things that I'd literally never even heard of. And in setting goals that are unattainable, you will become the person that you are meant to be. And there is no way to get to that person without failing 100 times, without being sad, without being angry and frustrated, without trying things blindly. And, that is something that I wish I would have known 10 years ago, because I think I used to work on a list of achievable goals and, base my successes and celebrations on accomplishing those tasks. And now I'm just shooting from the moon every day, left and right, and it feels like I've just grown and become such a stronger person. I've developed so much grit, so much resiliency over the past year, and it's been really kind of transformative and amazing. So I guess that's what I'm currently working on. I'm planning on continuing to learn about e-commerce businesses, but I highly encourage people to just try new things. Try an industry you're not familiar with. Try something that you've never even thought about, but you saw was cool on social media. And everyone else in your circle will also be there to help you. Like, I have not had another year in the past, however many years, had more women, had more entrepreneurs, and had more senior level executive women reach out to me and think, I'm going to try a career shift, or I'm going to do this, or I'm thinking about doing this, or I'm thinking about going here. And within, 24 hours, I have met someone else that I've been able to connect them with, or, they have said something that has inspired something else, and it has kickstarted their journey, their new journey onto their new life, basically. This year, for as sad and as difficult has been just transformative for so many people, especially women, especially badass women, who, put conferences on like this and bring people together in such a cool way. So those are my notes on resiliency. I think that as hard and as challenging 2020 was, and as reflective and similar 2021 is starting to be, I think that we can all just embrace our resiliency, look at the shit show around us, and choose to move forward positively and figure out how to harness our special abilities and our uniqueness and our energy, and continue to fight and continue to make cool things and to go on adventures and to discover awesome things about one another. So I want to thank Muze one more time for having me, and I want to thank Kettle One Botanicals. This is a vodka spritz, and it is definitely getting me through my afternoon today. It's a fresh taste infused with fresh botanicals, and I highly recommend this for the rest of your pandemic life. Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to the speakers and the special guests.
We want to thank our team in New York, LA, and everybody who helped us produce this. We're so excited, and we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed curating this for you. Let's keep the conversation going. Please spread the word. Follow us at Modern Muse on Instagram. Also go to our website, www.modernmuse.com. We have so much coming up this year.
More events, some in person. Of course, we'll always have a live element. But yeah, as things evolve, we're going to keep growing and keep interesting, dynamic conversations flowing. So thank you so much. Stay in touch, and we will see you next time.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.